You know, folks, many people get bad news and they just break, fall apart, but not my next guest. Please welcome Sam and her sister Alex.
Did you ever expect that this would be where you were at 22? Could you ever imagine that this would be where you would end up?
No, definitely not.
That's me, Sam. I grew up in Kentucky and I had a pretty normal childhood. I played a lot of sports and I was just a goofy little kid who laughed a lot. And I was perfectly healthy. I have a sister, Alex. She's 2 years older than me and we've always been best friends. I've looked up to her my entire life.
You think those are the cutest kids? Are they the cutest ones you've seen? Those are pretty cute. Thank you.
We had a pretty traditional Southern upbringing. Everything had way more butter on it than it should have. And we went to church every Sunday.
God is great, God is good, and we thank Him for all His honor.
Amen. Amen.
Honestly, nothing that interesting happened to me until I turned 17.
I was diagnosed with severe aplastic anemia at age 17. I was a healthy junior in high school, your all's age, and it just came out of nowhere. I got really, really sick.
I was a lacrosse player, so I didn't think much of the bruises I had all over my body. But then they didn't go away, and I got a high fever that landed me in the hospital.
Sam went from healthy high school athlete to about 1 in 700 Americans a year with a rare bone marrow failure disease called severe aplastic anemia.
They told me that I needed a bone marrow transplant immediately. So a bone marrow transplant is where doctors take some healthy blood-producing stem cells, either from the bone marrow or from the bloodstream of a healthy donor, and transfuse those cells into the body of a sick patient. Then hopefully the patient can start producing their own healthy cells. But to do the transplant, a patient has to have a match, which is someone that has similar DNA. That's why siblings are tested first.
Where's Alex? Where's the big sister?
As her only sibling, Sam's big sister hoped to be the hero.
I'm gonna be her match. We look like twins. Got this. I'm gonna be able to save her. But unfortunately, I wasn't. And that was...
Oh, you weren't a match?
I wasn't a match. And that was one of the hardest things that's ever happened to me because I thought that was my job as her big sister, was to save her. And finding out that I wasn't, I felt like I'd failed.
I'm sick and Alex is taking care of her.
So then my doctor searched the US and international donor registries to see if I had a match, to see if there was a stranger who could donate to me. But it came back that out of 25 million people signed up, not a single person was a match.
You know, you want to have like, you want to have your whole life stretched out ahead of you and know that you have limitless possibilities, but it's hard knowing that I might not have that.
Have you found your match?
I have not found my match, but I know that person is out there. I'm lucky that I'm in remission. I had an alternative treatment. I still take a lot of medication today, but I could potentially relapse and need a transplant in the future because it's the only cure.
It has been 4 years since Sam's diagnosis and still no match. So the sisters decided to do something about it.
There are thousands of patients every year that are in the same position that can't find a donor. There are millions and millions of people in this country that just aren't signed up yet. They could be the cure for all these patients. You want to sign up?
All a person needs to do to get on the registry is fill out a consent form and do a cheek swab. From that cheek swab, doctors can tell if that person is a DNA match for a patient in need of a transplant.
So you now have a mission. Now tell me what you have decided and what you're about to do.
We started sharing America's Marrow, or SAM, and this year in 2015 we're traveling to all 50 states. And it's a cross-country movement to register 50,000 potential bone marrow donors in 50 states in 2015.
They're taking off on a tour of all 50 states to try and get 50,000 donors by the end of the year. So
and this is their neighbor who's part of the team, right?
Yeah, they brought me on board. We're pretty close, so
say your name.
I'm Taylor Shorten.
Hi, this is Taylor Renee Shorten, and I'm about to go to a disco party.
First, talk to us about a little bit about that story, how you became friends with the Kimura girls.
I wasn't always friends with Alex and Sam. We grew up in the same neighborhood, kind of rolled with different crews.
I remember she jumped on her trampoline once and we were like, what is that bitch doing over here?
We never really were that close until Sam got sick.
Her parents asked me if I could take care of her while they left the house for a night and make sure everything was okay, and I agreed.
Taylor comes over and we become best friends in like 10 minutes. She was totally different than this image that Alex and I had of her, and she was a blast. We all became, as Taylor constantly says, 3 Ps.
We kind of just became 3 Ps really fast.
Me and Sam's relationship is based in her illness, so it seemed like the natural course for me to be on the road with her, continuing in the journey. Like if something were to happen, I wanted to have that quality time with her.
So we're going to be working together all next year.
You're one of the sisters.
I'm
Exactly.
the third sister. I think we look alike.
I do too.
Definitely to spend a year hanging out with my 2 best friends didn't sound unappealing.
We're going to be in 190 cities, 200 events that we'll be doing.
People between the ages of 18 and 26 have the healthiest bone marrow, especially young men.
They'll mainly focus on college campuses, spending about a week in each state.
We're also stopping at businesses, corporations, festivals, concerts, sporting events, really anywhere we can set up. So setting the route was probably the first part of what is this next year going to look like, where are we going to go.
The girls plan on starting in Louisville, heading south, traveling up the East Coast and across the country to the West Coast.
So that took some time, and then it was just building our website, reaching out to different patients and donors around the country of people who could support this. A lot of fundraising to cover the cost of this whole trip. We have 2 profit share nights. And you can come eat, and a portion of the proceeds that night will go towards benefiting our efforts to get around the country, planning all the marketing, figuring out what our logo looks like.
Sam and Alex sold their cars and raised money to lease this van that they will drive around the U.S. on their cross-country tour.
Do you love it? Say that you love it, because you do.
Tell me you love me.
Alex is making out with the car.
Crazy.
Okay, so let's clarify. What is the ultimate goal here?
To register 50,000 potential bone marrow donors.
If you meet 50,000 people, you might actually meet your donor.
Yeah. Even though this trip was named after me, it wasn't just about me. We were meeting tons of other patients that were also looking for their match, and we wanted to help them too.
Owen McMasters may be fighting blood cancer, but he's not alone in his battle.
One by one, the Kimura family is on a mission to help Owen McMasters and others battling blood cancer. Owen, a Trinity High School student, was diagnosed with leukemia in 2011. His family says he's not doing well now, but he'll keep fighting, along with help from the Kimura family.
Owen had been fighting leukemia for 3 years, and a bone marrow transplant was his last hope. But his 2 brothers weren't matches for him, and he didn't have a donor on the registry either. We hosted a few events in his honor before we left on our road trip, and we became friends with him and his family. We told them we would do everything we could to help find his match. I know that there's somebody out there that can cure Owen, that can be his match, and we just need to find him, or her.
With more than 11 million on the donor registry, 6 out of 10 patients can't find a match, which is why registering is so important.
You're gonna be fine. You're gonna live a long time.
Definitely everything has changed, but it's been an adventure.
And it's just beginning, I guess.
Hi, Dave.
Have to come to Nashville.
Thank
Good luck
you
and
for
everything. You gotta stick on a big
proud of you.
We are proud. Love us.
Bye.
Yeah.
Love you.
You got your key.
Are you sure you want to do
Put
this?
in the final.
That's Sam's. Now is the time to back out if anyone.
Did we hug enough? Love you guys.
There's somebody else.
Dad.
Bye. Do we have everything?
Go, Sammy, go, Sammy, go.
Miss you.
Watch where you're going. Bye, Sam.
Thought it would be okay, but I'm like, Sam, stop. Why are you crying? It's not sad. It's really exciting. I'm so excited. As long as I've been away from home, it's been a month.
Can you drive?
No.
Egg McMuffin smells like ass.
First Egg McMuffin on the road.
On the road. Oh, and the sun's rising on this new year of adventure. That's pretty cool for this Egg McMuffin.
That was gonna be the best year of our lives.
Good morning. Good morning. Sleepyhead.
Yeah, a typical day on the road would be waking up in a hotel room in a random city, and Alex and Taylor would wake up earlier. They would get the hotel breakfast. I would sleep in as much as I could. The food is really shitty. It's like an old bagel.
We're eating like kings.
The van was always a fucking disaster.
And it was mostly my fault, probably.
We're kind of lower maintenance. We went to a college, typically.
Take the second exit onto Campus Drive.
And then we would work there for typically 4 hours, just talk to people, talk to students, employees if we were at a business.
Doing an event for 4 hours, then emailing hundreds of schools, getting no responses, emailing 100 more schools, coming up with more ideas and planning ahead.
Sometimes there would be a news station that would come interview one of us. You'd work all day and then you'd have to drive to the next city that same night.
When can you plan events when you're constantly doing things? Sam, what do we do? Can I do it?
There was a lot of driving, a lot of working and then driving and then working some more. So we're going on to hour 12 of today.
And then you wake up and do it all again the next day, and it's just exhausting.
Oh, Taylor!
You've ruined the covers.
After one day at the hotel. This is actually the hotel cleaned up.
Shit everywhere.
You don't realize it until a year later, how much you miss just having space to yourself.
This part doesn't fit on this. I've never seen that hole in my life. It's not something that I know. I don't want you to pour it on me, so why would I pour it? I don't know.
Do you want me to
have control of it? Why don't you do it?
It feels like this has always been our lives.
I feel like the bone marrow girl.
We were trying to reach those young, healthy donors, so setting up a table in a busy spot on a college campus seemed like a great way to get in front of a lot of people. But we forgot how hard it is to get strangers to stop and talk to you.
Hey, do you guys have a few minutes to help us fight cancer? Signing up potential bone marrow donors, quick and easy. Hi, if you guys have a few minutes for signing up potential bone marrow donors, just take some cheek spots. Stay alive. Okay, we'll be here until 2.
What if you relapse and you're transplanted and you don't find a donor and all these people are just like, saying no to you? It's a pretty shitty feeling.
Life on the road is not easy for Sam. She has to take 30 pills a day to keep her disease at bay. For her sister Alex, the hardest part is seeing people look past or through her little sister. Despite the rejections, the Sharing America's Marrow movement has swabbed over 8,000 potential new donors. But the sisters and their best friend Taylor keep on driving, hoping there are more heroes just around the corner.
I'm exhausted to my core.
It's crazy to be doing something for a year that's so wildly unpopular.
You wake up every morning knowing that you're not going to be liked that day.
Like, we're not selling cookies.
I wish we were.
Is it hard to get people to sign up?
It can be very difficult. There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding bone marrow donation. These misconceptions mostly come from overly dramatic movies like 7 Pounds and My Sister's Keeper, and from TV shows like Grey's Anatomy and House. They all make bone marrow donation seem like the most painful procedure a human being can go through. The truth is, the reality is a lot less dramatic. Stem cells and bone marrow are basically the same thing. They both produce blood cells. So most donations are actually a stem cell donation, which is a lot like giving platelets or plasma. So it's basically a blood donation that takes a few hours. Donors have to take shots leading up to the procedure to boost the number of stem cells in the blood, and this can make people feel achy and tired, but no one is screaming in pain here. So that blood donation is 80% of the time. The other 20% of the time, doctors ask for a bone marrow donation. Unlike in Hollywood, donors are under anesthesia during the donation, so no pain is felt during the procedure. Most donors will be sore and have some bruising, but that seems like a small price to pay for giving someone a second chance at life.
Yeah, I had a lot of 7 pounds people today being like,
really?
Like,
we had a house person.
Oh, 7 pounds? I'm not doing that. And I'm like, then I went through the entire spiel with her, explaining every way in which it is not 7 pounds. So she's like, yeah, that shit's 7 pounds. I was like, I'll kill you. No, I'll kill you.
People are dying because of that stupid movie.
And it's just going to be really hard. As we've said before, we have to convince 50,000 people to join the registry. That's hundreds of thousands of conversations.
Our goal was to get 50,000 donors in 50 states in 2015. And that goal number was chosen based on cutesiness and how good it sounded with 50 states. And we had to pick a number. But then it turns out that 50,000 is a whole lot, especially for 3 people.
Look at all the people signing up. This is what success looks like.
We hope we get a lot of people everywhere, and we usually don't.
A series of unsuccessful events.
How do you feel when you get rejected? Every day. When is this going to be cool?
All these people not helping them.
Like, when is this going to be something that people recognize or look forward to or say, oh yeah, I wanted to do this?
I think we realized like 2 weeks in that 50,000 might not happen. And then like a month in, we knew it wasn't going to happen. We just had to keep that for the hashtag.
Oh. Did we make a mistake? I don't know. Oh. Why are you crying? I'm so freaked out. What happened? I don't know. Why are you freaked out? Oh. Because you just say.
So we decided to get a little more creative in our approach.
Free candy over here, free life-saving. Everything's free, everything's easy.
Fun.
This is
You don't have to sign up to get a piece. You can have one. Yeah. No, you just have to listen to the spiel.
We still weren't very popular, but candy, pizza, and beer made a few more people want to stop and talk to us.
How many people have we signed up?
Despite the beer, we were still getting rejected a lot. We were in the market for a confidence boost and for some company.
When did you see us?
Tinder.
Really?
That's hilarious.
Did we match?
Yeah. No, I didn't, but I was interested in the mission you guys are on. So.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's cool that you...
So we got on some dating apps just looking to have fun. But the guys we were meeting were even cooler than we expected. After they found themselves on a date with 3 girls living out of a van together, we'd explain our story and they almost all wanted to join the registry. It was great for us and great for bone marrow because young men ages 18 to 26 are actually the ideal donors.
But how did you find yourself in this predicament?
Met this lovely young lady named Alex via the internet, and here we are, signing papers.
I'd say Sam was the least into it, Alex was the most into it, and I was the bear in the middle.
Alex and Taylor were having more fun on Tinder than I was. In fact, it was kind of a touchy subject for me. Spending hours driving in the van gave me a lot of time to think, and moving from city to city where no one knew who I was really forced me to get to know myself. There were certain things about me that I pushed aside my entire life. Well, really just one thing.
Tell any secrets you've been wanting to tell to anybody for a long time. It's just us. I don't want to. Tell a secret that you wanted to tell a long time ago. I didn't want to tell it. Okay, you don't have anything about Micah? Bradley? You don't like Bradley? Talk about Bradley. Bradley's just my friend. Micah. He's just my friend. Micah. I don't have to say. Party pooper! Stop it, Allie! Okay.
It's hard to accept that you're gay when you grow up in a Christian family in Kentucky. I didn't want to be different or disappoint my parents or get rejected by my friends. Since I was 17, people knew me as the sick girl. I didn't want another label. But at the same time, I knew it was the truth. And when you finally accept a truth about yourself, it's not like you can just forget it. But just because I accepted it, it didn't mean that now everything was easy. I had no idea what that meant for my life. But I was living in a van. I could push that aside for now.
Can't believe this is happening.
I'm so scared. Oh my.
Okay, you guys, we're 1 floor up. It's not like we're on the 30th floor or anything.
And it's gonna drop,
Should
yeah.
we not breathe as often because of like oxygen?
Don't talk about that. No, we're
but I'm
fine.
being serious.
Taylor, no.
I don't know how it works. No, people do it in movies all the time. They like stay here for hours.
We'll just. But.
Back on the road. We're stuck in an elevator in an electrical storm. So that's happening.
I will kill you for saying that. I didn't think about it, bitch. If you had to pick something, what would we pee into? The camera case? No. We should Instagram this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah! Yay! Sorry, we have a lot of stuff. We live in a van.
You're all right.
If you guys want to sign up to be bone marrow donors, that's what we do.
Are you guys doing the... I think I saw the news story about you guys.
Oh, yeah, that's us. So we're traveling around the country signing up potential bone marrow donors to help you with cancer. There they are. They saved our life. Our heroes.
Heroes.
Do we hug you? Do you want to hang out in our hotel room? Do you want like a foot massage?
So far, no match has been found for Sam, but they have discovered 33 matches for other patients, leading to 4 potentially life-saving transplants.
We didn't know if it was someone that we signed up, but our friend Owen found a match, and he had a transplant. While the donation process for a donor is easy and quick, for the patient it can be a long and dangerous road to recovery. But the transplant at least gave him a second chance to fight for his life.
Cool. Have you guys searched the registry lately for me to see? It does? And there's still no match? So it's just weird though to know. Seriously, there's now 25 million people worldwide on the registry, and there's still not a match. So that's crazy.
Even though I look healthy, knowing that this disease is still inside me haunts me every day. And sadly, my case is not unique. Over half of patients that need a transplant can't find a donor. And the thing is, the registry is mostly Caucasian, so if you're a white patient, you have the best chance at finding a match at about 97%. But if you're Black or Hispanic or Native American, your chances of finding a match go down even more. Because unfortunately, the registry just isn't very diverse. So we really need everyone of every race and ethnicity who is able to sign up to do so, because it increases patients' odds of being able to find a donor.
You'll be a father before too long, huh? You haven't figured out a name yet.
I knew that I was Irish and German on my mom's side of the family, but my dad's side was more unknown. My dad had never met his dad. Apparently, my grandma got pregnant when she was 17 with a married man's baby, and that guy denied that my dad was his kid. We didn't really know much else about my paternal grandfather, besides that his name was Larry and my grandma thought he was part Native American. No one really knew though, so thankfully there are other ways to find out what your heritage is.
Okay, I'm about to do the DNA sample to test my ancestry to see why it's so gosh darn hard for me to find a match of 25 million people, so I'm gonna spit in this.
And my dad knew that we were doing this, but we didn't really talk about it. He and I hadn't really been close since I was a little kid, actually. I don't really know what happened, we just kind of fell apart and didn't really talk much. I didn't even know if he wanted to know what his ancestry was.
We are like in the middle of the American wilderness. Yeah, it's crazy. Land's locked.
My favorite part so far of Indiana was a guy coming up the table and I asked him, do you want to sign up to be a bone marrow donor? He said, I actually think I signed up with you guys in Pittsburgh.
I gained at least 15 pounds.
If you're eating processed shit, then you're gonna look like processed shit.
Well, we have to be smart. We've been eating like idiots. You know we have. We can't have frozen yogurt 3 times a week. We just eat a bunch of junk.
If we would have said 5 years ago that you'd be in Milwaukee getting tattoos with the Kimura sisters,
I would have been like, they hate me and I hate them. It's like, why are we in Milwaukee? What I would have said.
My tattoo is my HLA type, which is the DNA code that doctors use to match bone marrow donors with patients. So it's just a kind of crazy combination of letters and numbers. Alex and I talked about getting it, and we both wanted to get a tattoo. And we thought about doing this because it just altered a lot of things about us. And it's also extremely unique because I don't have a match, so nobody else has this collection of numbers. So it felt like a really cool thing to have on our bodies, I guess.
You guys are too cool for school.
When it's sock off, we're gonna boogie! Yeah!
Scotty.
Hair looks like George Washington.
Isn't it?
We worked with a donor registry called DKMS, and they called and told us that we had found 67 potential matches for patients so far. That meant that 67 patients now had a chance at hopefully having the transplant that they needed to survive.
And we're gonna attempt to put 67 candles on this.
Like, it's not what the fuck do we do if this catches?
It's not. Quit panicking. This is the weirdest thing we've ever done.
It looks like America, though. It does! Well, this is a cool picture.
It is cool.
Ancestry composition tells you what percent of your DNA comes from each of 31 populations worldwide. I am 97.9% European. Drum roll. Not too exciting. Only 0.9% Native American.
Really?
What fraction is that?
It's not even a fraction.
It was funny that we just told people that we were Native American. We didn't even.
Your grandmother tells you that you're a 16th Native American. You listen. They said like 97% of people who are European can find a match.
Well, I guess I'm in that 3%.
Classic Sam.
I guess I hoped that I would see this and be like, oh, that's why I don't have a match.
I don't know. This is only talking about my maternal haplogroup, so I want to know more about maternity. I want to know if dad is my father.
What do you mean? So this isn't even talking about dad's side?
This says your ancestry composition. Then it says your mother's line. So it hasn't talked about father's line.
You actually don't know anything. No,
We could trace our ancestors.
Yeah.
As if the year wasn't already emotional enough, we decided to go find our long-lost paternal grandfather.
It's like, I want to find my dad's dad.
Did you guys know I played softball for 3 years and got on base one time?
We only have 20 more people until we are at 10,000. We're so close. We can do it.
There she is!
10,000! 10,000.
Yeah, so it's usually while they're giving plasma, they just filter stem cells out of the blood donations.
You might be a little sore in your hip for a few days, but you completely saved a life. So if you want to come say hi to us, you're about an 8-month road trip so far, and get your cheek swabbed, you can do that. So hopefully we'll see you at the table right over there.
Oh, hey guys. Hey, awesome. Thank you all for coming over.
Yeah, I think I needed something to kind of spark my interest. It's crazy because you think like, oh, in this situation you get novelty every day, but it kind of all blurs together.
Alex and Taylor were starting to use their dating apps less, but they were still meeting a few people.
Do you know anything about tires?
And as you can imagine, the closeted lesbian scene has always been a little quiet. And it started to feel like we were kind of on our own planet.
Ready? You should always. I didn't know there's a candle. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Taylor. Happy birthday to you.
Riding out past all the places that I've a reason to go. Kentucky hills and fences, fields cleared of their stones. Gonna find me a crossroads, ask a stranger where to go.
riveting.
Gotta find a clear view of the sky.
In a word, how do you feel about Yellowstone? Garbage.
Out past the open road.
Does everyone have
What's happening back
a
there?
designated plastic bag if need be?
Should we find somewhere to like stay tonight?
We are.
Off the road. Saw an old man patching holes with
Checking off Utah in Arches National Park.
working his hardest I've ever seen.
Suck it, Utah.
He had no taste for the touch screens, 'cause they ain't nothing like the real thing. He used those simple machines.
I feel bad. What'd you say? What'd you say? So bored, yeah.
I can't listen to any good music. You guys aren't talking to me.
I think we need to get really drunk if this is what's happening.
I think before we left, we thought we're gonna meet so many people in every city that we go to and we're gonna make 1,000 friends. But what it ended up being was mostly just the three of us hanging out in a hotel room after a day of work where we worked together, ate lunch together, ate breakfast together, slept in the same bed the night before.
Yeah, then by the time we'd gotten out to the West, we were kind of completely sick of each other. And even though the West was so beautiful, when you feel so isolated, you can't even enjoy it. And to just silently, but next to two other people, walk through the mountains is an eerie feeling.
But thankfully we had a good distraction.
Sam and I are gonna try to find our grandfather tomorrow.
Hi, Grandpa.
Hi, Grandpa.
And we're at Mount Hood, which is where our grandmother met a man, created my father.
On this very chair.
Oh gosh.
That looks so much like him.
This could potentially be our grandfather. My name is Alex, and I'm at the Timberline Lodge. We were looking for the curator of the history section of the lodge. We're looking for someone that used to be a ski instructor here in the 50s. Oh my gosh, the person is calling me. Answer. Hi, this is Alex. Hi.
There's a couple of ladies that still are alive that remember that era. They were skiers. I can ask them if I find something out. I'll let you know.
Awesome.
So we have some people to call.
The hunt continues. Holy.
It's incredible.
Calling Grandpa.
Please leave a message.
Hi, my name is Alex, and I'm calling for Larry. Just have a few medical questions, and yeah, thank you. that was so weird.
Medical questions.
What else is he gonna say? Ancestry questions? That's terrifying.
He's gonna be like, what the fuck does that mean?
You guys try leaving a message for your grandpa that doesn't know you exist. A shared voicemail with his wife that will probably divorce him after 50 years of marriage after he found out that after she finds out that he fathered a child 55 years ago.
Why are we doing this?
Why are we doing this? I'm gonna try to call Grandpa again.
You've reached Larry and Kathy Swinburne. Please leave a message. Thank you.
I'm gonna call back in. I know this is kind of out of the blue, but I've been digging around on Ancestry.com, and I think that we might be related, and I wanted to reach out because we've had some medical issues in our family that are that might have to do with genetics, and I would just love to talk to you to learn more about your ancestry and your family and see if we could maybe get some answers. Thank you.
microphone to CNN on our glacier cruise.
This is our 40th state we've been to so far this year, and our first time in Alaska, and it's beautiful, so thank you guys for having us. So we've signed up over 12,000 potential donors so far this year, and we've found 90 potential matches. So that means 90 patients can now hopefully have the life-saving transplant that they need. So I'm trying to
Spread the news about it. It's kind of cool.
So how did you guys get started with it?
I needed a bone marrow transplant when I was 17, and I didn't have a matching donor. It was really tough to be the face of this organization, telling the story over and over again about how I got sick and about how I don't have a match. I thought I was in the clear, but they assured me that it was still very much an issue. Right when I got sick, I knew that my life was going to change completely. I knew it was going to be different from there on out, and I just had to accept that, and accept that I had to take it day by day from then on out.
To be talking about the worst part of your life over and over again every single day and not being able to escape it, it would just drive me crazy.
I have a bald patch.
Thanks for coming in, guys.
Thanks for having us.
All right, let's start with the story first. Sam, you were diagnosed with a rare blood disease.
I have to get out of here and never talk about bone marrow again.
This is Megan with CNN. And I'm a writer at Inc. magazine. Calling from CJAD in Montreal. Lots 59 and CBS 4. Calling from Canada AM with CTV in Toronto. Calling from Cosmopolitan magazine.
And in this here magazine, 3 pages on us.
It felt like I was living in this different world that I didn't want to be a part of.
My name is Lindsay Wright. I had a bone marrow transplant in 2012. I take backgrounds. I take 12 of these a day.
She just walked up to me and said, "My mom talked to you on Instagram. I have aplastic anemia." Athena's here with us. Athena's awesome. We met on Instagram, and she had aplastic anemia, and she had a bone marrow transplant. Hey, do you guys want to help us fight cancer for free today? I would take on everybody's story too, and I would just kind of be the one that people felt like they could unload on and tell their story about, oh, I lost my mom to leukemia, or I had a friend in elementary school that passed away, and it was kind of like I was absorbing all these people's stories.
If it were me in those shoes, it would make me hyper aware of my own situation.
It just sucks. People have to go through this, and of course I think about myself, so it's just like stressful. Despite my anxiety, I was still lucky to be alive. Other kids aren't so lucky. We got a call that our friend Owen passed away, and we were devastated. The transplant gave him more time, but his body was already too weak from the leukemia. He was only 16 years old.
Understood.
I've never, I guess I've heard of donating bone marrow before, but it freaks me out. It might be selfish either way, but I understand you can save lives doing it, but that's not something I want to do myself.
If you can hear the whole spiel, see the face of someone who needs it, and be personally asked to join the registry and still say no, that's when there's a serious issue that can only be solved really with a good bitch slap. Until you get pissed about something, change doesn't happen. You have to make them uncomfortable. If you tell them, oh, you're fine, no worries, go ahead to class, it's okay, or like, oh yeah, no, you're afraid of needles, okay, then it's all right. That person probably is a match for someone who already died.
Would you do it if it was someone that you knew that needed a transplant?
I still wouldn't really want to do it.
Guys like him made us feel a sort of hopelessness about people. We were seeing the ugliest sides of humanity, us included.
I don't think we realized how much it was affecting ourselves and maybe our self-esteem, the
constant rejection, maybe to the point where we started rejecting each other.
I can't like pinpoint why it makes me so mad, but it is like the most frustrating thing that you do. Can I help you?
I'll freaking kill you. This was your idea.
This is not my idea. This is Sam's idea. This is cool. We're all like not talking right now, so that's upsetting.
I think people think for the majority of time we were 3 best friends going on a journey together, like giggling into the night. Sometimes we would go to bed not saying goodnight at all.
Okay, so someone tell me what's happening right now.
Well, we just discovered we have a hell week ahead of us. Get to the point.
Yeah, thank you.
Is it a really long, clean jersey? Are you going to ask me a question with food in my mouth?
How long is it going to take you to eat that piece of bread?
There's always dirty spoons covered in yogurt. Who is eating the yogurt?
Taylor.
I've had 1 yogurt in the car. No, I've had 1 yogurt in the car.
She was sort of making these mistakes that were, kind of felt like a cry for help.
Well, if you would have like been on top of it, this wouldn't have happened.
Today hit the lowest lows because I let a lot of people down. I just fucking suck.
So for the most part, people assumed that we were so happy and living the dream, and it was not a dream a lot of the times. 9 or 10 months in, it was kind of hitting this point where we needed space, we needed time apart, but we couldn't have it, and it was really causing us to tear each other down.
The tension between the 3 of us had been building for months, but when Taylor broke her toe and could barely walk, it felt like the last straw. She decided to go home, and we let her.
It is a very strange feeling. I feel kind of sick about it.
You had enough? Tired?
We started 3 best friends on an epic adventure, but now Taylor was gone and Alex and I couldn't even look at each other anymore. The dream I had of this year being one of travel and fun and friendship was falling apart. Talking about cancer every day was making me go crazy. We were on the open road, but we felt trapped. There was still so much land to be covered and so much more work to do. We needed to register more donors and talk to more news stations and meet more families and finish what we started. So Alex and I drove on in silence. I thought things were going to stay this way for the rest of the year. But then I met someone.
Lover, it's me, your girlfriend. Hello, beautiful. Just want to say I love you. You're great. I'm sure you're saving the world and whatnot, but just thinking about you as usual. I love you. Bye.
We only went on one date when we passed through Colorado, but we talked every day, and then she met up with us on the road a few weeks later. And by then, I was smitten. I felt like I was finally being myself.
People were always like, oh my gosh, you guys are gonna fall in love on the trip, you're gonna find like your men, and like, yeah, I fell in love with a lady.
She was a great distraction from everything that had been happening, and I started to feel like maybe I could finish this thing. And after a few weeks at home, Taylor rejoined us on the road. It wasn't perfect when she came back, but at least she was back, and we could all finish this together.
We made it to the Pacific Northwest. We made it corner to corner. 39 states later. Bam. State 41, we're in single digits, bitch! Do it, Taylor. Do it. Doing it.
By the time I met Liza, I had actually already come out to Alex and Taylor because it's near impossible to keep a secret when you're living in a van together.
Sam's a lesbian.
it made sense. I wasn't shocked.
I started to feel guilty for not telling my parents. I wanted them to know why I was so happy, but I didn't know how they would react.
Yeah, she was nervous to come out to her parents. I think that they had very conservative beliefs.
They had always been so loving and supportive of me, especially after I got sick. But that almost made it worse. What if this was the thing that drove them away? What if they never talked to me again?
Also, I told Dad he seems to be digesting it quietly. He said he needs some time, but he seems to be okay. Don't worry, he also loves you very much.
So it could have gone a lot worse, but there was something still a little off. He never reached back out to me after my mom told him. So it kind of just felt like we were sweeping it under the rug. As time went by and we continued along on our road trip, I didn't know if I actually wanted to hear what he was not saying. It was hard to not think about him though, especially when we got a call back from his dad.
This is Larry Swinburne returning your call. Very interesting. Give me a call. Thank you, bye.
Oh my gosh.
It kind of reminds me of Dad, the way he talks.
Hello?
Hi, is this Larry?
Yes.
Hi, this is Alex, just giving you a call back.
Okay. What's going on?
It's a long story, but we think that we might be related to you, and we wanted to just ask you about your ancestry and trying to figure out more about our heritage to try to see why she can't find a bone marrow donor.
Parents came over from Austria, around Vienna, Austria, that area.
Oh, wow.
And Poland. Get back to me, please. There are more questions.
Absolutely.
Okay?
We definitely will. Okay.
You just talked to our grandpa.
Just talked to our grandpa for the first time ever.
So I found out what I needed to know from Larry, my ancestry. Didn't really answer any questions about why I still can't find a match, but it was pretty cool talking to him.
Alex, this is Larry Swinburne calling you back. I'd love to talk to you some more. You actually put me in kind of a state of shock yesterday, and I should have continued talking with you. If they're busy, give me a call this evening after 6, Oregon, Nevada time. Okay, thank you.
Love you. Bye. Love you, Grandpa.
Wow.
Now, your grandmother is Rosie Rose?
Yes.
What is your father's name?
Zure.
Zure?
Yeah.
Okay. So you are my granddaughter.
Yeah. I am.
You know that?
Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
I just can't believe this happened to you.
I know. It's pretty crazy. I think I'm still in shock too.
I'm out of Reno. About an hour out of Reno.
We'll be in Vegas through Tuesday. If you have any interest in meeting, we'd be willing to drive up to Reno. We have an extra day, but I know that's a lot, so definitely don't have to. Just to let you know, we'll be nearby, but you'd love to meet?
Yeah, well, I didn't have you drive all the way up here.
Well, we could do it.
You'd like to do it?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really great to meet you.
That'd be fantastic.
Okay, thanks, Larry. Bye.
Do you want to meet him?
I think so.
You should.
Fucking birthday present for you.
Oh my gosh. Happy 23.
Happy 20 to you.
Happy birthday.
That's crazy.
My birthday, we drove through the Nevada desert for 7 hours to go meet him, and we were both just like, what are we doing? This is nuts. But it was also exciting, and it felt like we were in some weird movie.
So we're going to meet Grandpa right now. We're in the middle of nowhere, Nevada. This is like the guy that we've talked about our whole life, but only in the sense of like, my dad doesn't know his dad. Do we hug him? Do we slap him?
We don't slap him.
Should we shake hands?
I think we should shake hands. This is gonna be strange as fuck. Weird that we wouldn't be on this earth without this man, without his seed. Oh, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm saying weird things. Oh, no, it's okay.
Are you hungry?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Eggs? How do you like them?
Scrambled.
Scrambled?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's not
You're making it awful easy.
yeah.
He made us this adorable breakfast for like a small person because he's tiny.
Oh, no way.
This is me in the 70s. This is back when I met Rosalie.
Oh, wow.
I'm teaching skiing at Timberline Lodge. This is Mount Hood, Oregon.
Yeah. And he was a lot like my dad.
No, I feel really sad for him because just regret is one of the worst feelings. He sees how we are and he's like, I could have had them in my life, or like just regretting not meeting Dad because he started crying when he was like, I'd love to meet your dad.
Yeah, he said, tell your dad, and then just got choked up.
We'll probably never see him again.
Alex called our dad and told him all about it, but he didn't seem too interested. I guess we had another thing we just weren't going to talk about.
Maggie found a boyfriend. He is packing heat.
I used to carry all of my sins in the order I'd committed them in. Now to get at the light, I've been steady shedding my skin. So don't come around looking for him, or him, or him. Oh baby, where the fuck have I been? Like Dennis Rodman, 93, thought a loaded gun could tell me who to be.
No matter how cool our year looked on Instagram, each day we were still frustrated about how people just didn't understand the importance of joining the registry. We had signed up almost 20,000 people, but who knows how many thousands said no or just walked away.
So that is the perfect analogy for what we're doing. What we're doing is we're basically setting up a cactus sale. Here, people, take this cactus. Inside is an antidote for someone who's been poisoned. And you might not ever need it, but there might be one time when someone's around you and you need it. Like they're just poisoned and you have it. It's inside of your cactus. And then they're like, oh, but like how do I get the antidote out of the cactus? I'm like, well, you have to like dig in there with your hands. And they're like, oh, but Alex, like isn't that gonna hurt me? And I was like, okay, like it might a little, so I'll give you this like cream that will numb your hands. You won't feel anything. You might be like a little sore, but you're not gonna feel it. And then they're like, oh, but like the prickles, like I'm so scared. And it's like, but then there's someone choking in front of you from the poison. All you have to do is just get it out and you can save them. And they're like, oh, I don't want to. How long is it gonna take to get the antidote out? And it's like, oh, I don't know. Hopefully before the person dies, you're the only one that can save them, but I guess if you don't care, let him die. Like, take the fucking cactus and deal with the prickles.
It was hard to remember sometimes that there were people who had signed up. In fact, we got a call from DKMS that 137 people had picked up their cactus. And some of those matches reached out to us and wanted to tell their story about donating.
My name is Spencer. I signed up with Sam, and I got to donate in June of 2015. Just signing up people right now and realizing that a lot of people just walk by and don't care. You're thinking, well, that was me. You know, maybe they need like that extra encouragement. They could be a match, you know.
I think the whole procedure took maybe an hour. It was just a little bit sore. How often does an average person get a chance to save someone's life?
It wasn't painful. I would do it again in a heartbeat if I ever got the chance to do so, and do it. That's all I can say.
Life ain't meant to be a straight line.
New Orleans, you're a scary place. Kind of glad to be leaving.
We made it to State 49! Woo! It feels so crazy.
It has been a long one, ladies.
I can't believe it.
to be more emotional. Just tired.
I don't feel anything.
No, neither. This is our last drive in Maggie, and we're driving home.
I smell really bad.
We were done with the road trip, but we actually had one more state to go.
There's nowhere else to go. Or you could hold.
You guys, we actually did it. We actually did 193 kilometers driving.
In 1 year.
That's so stupid.
Maggie was just a lease, and we had to say goodbye.
Oh, saying goodbye to Maggie was so sad because she was the only thing that was consistent for a full year.
I can't believe we did it. I can't believe that worked.
Like the next person who has this, they will have no idea what happened in here.
I was sure our relationship would evolve, and I didn't really know what it would look like at the end of that evolution. But because it was such a close bond and like a sisterhood, I was like, even if we like hate each other, we're still gonna love each other. So we'll just have to deal with that dichotomy.
You know what the great part is about doing that is like we never have to do anything cool again. We can always like, I can do anything I want and it can be completely mediocre.
We didn't sign up 50,000 people like we set out to do, but we tried our damnedest, and we still signed up 20,000 people and found a couple hundred matches for patients, and that'll still, the ripple effects of that are going to continue. Even seeing all the numbers, it was hard for us to understand the magnitude of the impact we had made, that this road trip gave patients a second chance at life. Patients like Caleb, who wouldn't be here without his donor John, who wouldn't be on the registry if we hadn't signed him up.
All those thoughts aren't really running through my head yet, but there's no telling what'll be running through my head when I actually meet him, so it'll be a surprise.
Yeah.
I don't think that he understands the importance of what he did. So, without him, Caleb would not be here. Odds are. I love you.
Welcome to California.
Hey, it's good to be here, man. Great to be here. My wife.
Hello. Hello, Melissa.
There's so much I've been able to do since transplant, and I feel like I've been able to make a lot of difference for people, and I really owe that to you.
It was so easy. A couple hours of my day, and here you are.
Yeah, that saved my life. It really did. First time I've ever been on a plane.
Okay.
I feel like I look more like him than I thought I would.
Yeah. I met Alex and Sam. They were crowded. Lots of people wanted to sign up. Cheek swabs, done. I don't like needles. I don't like giving blood. I don't like taking shots. It's absolutely worth it. There's no better upside to getting over it than donating.
You know, all of the people, anybody that I've done something for or helped, you've done something for.
It's the biggest pay it forward that I think I could have ever asked for.
And it's given me, Wednesday was our 9-year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
So it gave me the extra time with her. Mm-hmm. Grateful doesn't cut it. It really doesn't. I guess that was probably my biggest thing was, you know, I wanted to get the chance one day to actually, you know, personally tell you thank you. I found out how really uncommon it is for people to get that chance. You know, a lot of people don't get a chance to meet their donor, whether it's, you know, from a stem cell bone marrow transplant or organ transplant. A lot of people never get that opportunity.
I got an email that said, "My name is Beth McMasters and I am your bone marrow recipient's mom. Owen told me to tell you he loves you."
Owen passed away just a few days before his donor Susie flew out to meet him. She was there for his funeral and became like an adopted daughter to his family, eventually moving across the country to live with them.
Susie obviously is very important to us. She made every effort to save Owen's life, and since she came into ours, she's become a part of the family too. And it was crazy when she walked in, and she looks just like my children, and especially she looks like Owen.
She basically adopted the role as our youngest sibling.
They kept on saying the phrase 14 months. All of them said, you gave us 14 months with him that we wouldn't have had. You gave us time and hope. Kids with cancer don't love needles. It's not, they don't get a choice. And the fact that you get a choice, I think it speaks a lot about you and what you do with that choice.
Even though the transplant didn't cure Owen, his family was so thankful that they even had a few more months with him. If I've learned anything from this year, it's that life's too short to hide from it. He walked out, but like Dad and I have never had a conversation about our feelings in 25 years. It's like I'm already getting like choked up, like it's just, I don't know how to do it. And it's gonna be weird, that's not our relationship. Yeah, one of the reasons, well, the biggest reason why I was so afraid to come out and really accept it myself was that I was afraid I was going to be rejected by you and Mom and by our church, just because growing up in Kentucky in the Bible Belt and then going to church every Sunday like we did, it was just planted in your head that it's really wrong and you'd go to hell and that you'd be shunned from society. You know, so in my head I had these words playing that homosexuality is wrong, and then I was hearing from you guys that yes, it is wrong, it's disgusting, it's bad. When I finally kind of allowed myself to think about who I really was and these true feelings that I was having, it was horrifying to me. Yeah, I guess my worst fear and why I wasn't really looking forward to this conversation was just to be rejected now. I told Mom, and then Mom told you, and you guys seem to be okay with it, but we haven't really talked about it. And we haven't really, it's just kind of there, but we haven't really approached it. So yeah, my fear for sure is that you guys won't be okay with it, or you won't be okay with me, and that you'll reject me.
Didn't know she was going through this at all. 6-8 months you kind of held this secret in? Or?
Well, I've known it as early as like 6 years old.
Oh, wow, I had no idea. I hate to say it, just like your disease was, you know, there was some denial. We grew up a certain way and thinking certain ways. I think this is who you're supposed to be, and you seem very happy. So, you struggled and fought for your life, so it's precious to have you around. And just imagine if a parent, you know, was to lose their child, it'd make them think a lot differently about sexuality. You can be a light to other people through your message that parents can accept these things.
You know, hearing this from you means so much to me.
We'll give me your hand here. So Sam, whatever you go through, I'm here for you. I'll go on TV, I'll go in writing, I'll be there for you and be by your side. I'm not afraid of fighting the battle with you. All right.
Love you.
Love you too. Love you too. Thank you for putting all this emotional things into our lives, Alex.
But we had one more big thing for our dad. We thought it was time, 55 years later, for him to meet his father for the first time. No, I wouldn't trade the year because I needed it to grow into myself, basically. I think
that this year for Sam was a lot about discovering her authentic identity, even if she didn't know it. I think Sam kind of saved her own life. Like, she was in this pattern of just being safe and giving into her situation, and throughout the year she really figured out who she was and what she wanted to do and who she wanted to be and how she could live outside the realm of the sickness. And now she's dope.
I wouldn't trade it, but I wouldn't do it a second time, if that makes sense. I wouldn't be like, yeah, let's do it again. But I would do it the first time because I think it was really crucial for me, for a lot of people, and it changed my life. All at once, it was a bucket list adventure, a personal hell, a total mess, a mountain of self-discovery, the hardest year of my life, and the best year of my life. At times, I loathed it with every fiber of my being, but at other times, I had never experienced such joy. I don't know what's gonna happen to me, if I will ever have a transplant, or if I'll die tomorrow. But I do know that I'm different now. I can feel it in my bones.
Drove all night so many times to either give you space or come and find you.